Marjorie Margolies, it is so wonderful to have you here with us today
Thank
in
you.
Chicago, day 2 of the Democratic National Convention. Tell us, what has your experience been like?
Well, the whole thing it's shifted gears so dramatically. And for those of us who have been involved in this, in the political arena for so long, Joe Biden is such a decent, I served with him. He's such a decent guy. And this was such a tough thing for Democrats to embrace and be realistic and everything like that. And I think Kamala is amazing. And I do think that Hillary helped, shoot gazillion wedges and really did shatter the glass ceiling and opened it up for Kamala, who is doing such a great job. I think the most important thing for us who care about these things is how Trump is reacting. I mean, it's just nutty. That he's standing up and saying, I'm much prettier, I'm much more pleasant to look at than she, and that as soon as she starts to laugh, she loses it. It's just mean, and I don't get that. I really don't. I mean, there's so many things that work in politics. Meanness doesn't. And what seems to be happening here, who knows? What seems to be happening here is that she's injecting this upbeat joy, let's look toward the future and not be nasty. So as somebody who, I cry at bank openings. I really love to get everybody together and work together. And I think it's starting to work. It's only second day, so we can't tell. But
when you say Trump is saying that he was better looking than Kamala, as a political operator and analyzing sort of, because this is all, so much of this is just human psychology. So much of politics is just human psychology. So what does that tell you that that's what he's saying on the campaign trail?
I think he looks like he's going over the edge. Even people who are Republicans who have signed on to him, his psyche, his campaign, are saying, step back. I mean, members of Congress in the last couple of days have said, stop, go to the issues, stop, being when he had his press conference and he had all these items from the grocery store there, which he should have pointed to and said, this is costing more. He went on for, I think it was almost an hour, with personal attacks. Now, personal attacks clearly have worked with him in the past, so we don't know how well they'll work now, but I just think it's so sad that people are watching, believing him, swallowing what he has to say, and thinking that this is acceptable behavior.
So last night I was watching Hillary Clinton.
She was great, wasn't she?
And I was just transported back to 2016 when we were in Philadelphia and she accepted a nomination as the first woman presidential nominee.
She was so good, wasn't she?
And it really felt like time has just stopped at 2016.
Yeah.
Right? Sometimes I feel that way because the last, the years since that have just been so wild.
And bizarre.
From the
really
Trump
bizarre,
presidency to COVID. And so now it almost felt like a sense of deja vu. I personally had this kind of moment. And then I was looking around and at the applause that she was getting and thinking, how is she feeling? Because that was almost her. And yet now, again, we have a woman Democratic candidate nominee who is up against Donald Trump. Will we have a Madam President this time? Or do you worry that the same place that the country was in, the same mentality that the country was in 2016, which, frankly, they clearly weren't ready for a woman president. Is America ready for a woman president now?
I think we are, but who knows?
Why now and not then?
Well, it's so... That's a good question. I have no idea. I don't know. I just think things have changed. I think women are going to be the most important ingredient in this race, period. Suburban women, and I work with them a bit. And they're saying the same thing, if it has to do with healthcare, choice, whatever you want to call it, guns, anything in that area, that kind of embracing area, women are going to come out in numbers that are astonishing. African-American women, too, are very, very interested in it, as well they should be. Let me just tell you something that's trivia that you won't use, I promise you. that look for Celinda Lake if you want to do the best interview ever. Celinda Lake is a pollster.
Okay.
And I've been working with her for years. She's brilliant. And one of the things that she said to me quite a few years ago was that when she was polling, this was several elections back, when she was polling, she asked the folks, would you vote for an African American? Would you vote for a woman? And then the way she polls, which is fascinating, believe me, you won't use this.
Okay, I'm feeling challenged now.
At the end of the poll, she'll say, "What would your neighbor do?" And you
Okay.
often get a better read of what the real answer is.
Interesting.
You know, I want to make the right one. But the real thing that she said to me, and I have to ask her about this again, fast forward, is one of the things that she really had a hard time polling with women was jealousy.
Interesting.
And
She had a hard time polling, as in she couldn't get a read on it?
And it was like 2 or 3% off, but whatever it was she couldn't get a handle on women. Women would say, "I don't know why I don't like Hillary. I don't know what it is." And for a lot of women, and believe me, I'm in that category. I mean, I'm in that age category. A lot of women did what they were told to do. They went to a good school or not, but I mean, they met their husbands, had children, and all of a sudden she's going to be president of the United States. And they don't even understand that. That kind of like, oh my gosh. It was not the reason why the race was lost, but it wasn't a huge percentage. But it was fascinating to me. So you have to get it more correctly from her.
Did she get the women to tell her that? Or
Oh,
was
no,
it something
no,
she
no.
had to glean and discern?
It was, yeah, exactly. It was something that I know she never said to them, "Are you jealous?" But the sense that she knew that there was something there that women were saying, "I don't know why, I just don't like her. I can't stand her." And that is something that kind of emerged from all of this that now, I don't even want to go there because I'm not an expert on this, but I think that women, in answer to your question, women are coming around. More women are not feeling, more women are having children late, more women are feeling that they can be comfortable with a woman leader. When I went to Congress, there was we doubled the number of women in Congress in 92, and we were 24 new women, 23. Well, anyway, we doubled the number, and even then we were very, very underrepresented. There are many, many more now, and people do walk into the voting booth feeling comfortable voting for women. For years it used to be a white male, period, and now it's changed dramatically.
So do you think that this is a generational thing? Do you think the younger generation is perhaps less jealous, for lack of a better word?
I don't even want you to use that, but you know what I'm saying.
Because I'm glad we're talking about it, because it is actually something that keeps coming up and it's uncomfortable, and I think we have to have uncomfortable conversations.
Right.
So the number one question that I keep getting is, how does Hillary Clinton feel about the fact that Kamala Harris could end up being the first woman president when it should have been her, or could have been her, rather?
I can tell you honestly, Hillary is an amazing person, amazing, and she really understands what a historical pivot she made for this country, and I think she's just so well respected, and so her life is so rich. I mean, everybody wants a piece of her.
Yes.
She has the most adorable grandchildren that were ever created. I mean, she's very active with
They're also your grandchildren.
Exactly. We share grandchildren.
Yes.
But she's lovely, honestly. And we've kind of talked about it, but it isn't so how do you feel about it, Hillary? But she's very upbeat. She's very pleased that it looks so good, and that she had something to do with it. That she was the one who laid the groundwork.
So, actually, Hillary Clinton was the OG meme.
Is
Remember
that right?
Text
Yeah,
with
yeah,
Hillary?
right. Exactly. Yes.
And now Kamala is brat. How does she feel about Kamala being brat? Does she have any thoughts on Kamala being brat?
She is.
I mean, if I see her, I will ask her myself, but
No,
I
no.
figured we might as well.
Honestly, she's so lovely and
Yeah.
so caring and so cares about making sure that this country is moving in the right direction and that we get a woman in the White House. She's so lovely about it. And not at all, I mean, not an inch of, excuse me, I should have been the person. But yeah.
And you know what? That is so important because that jealousy and envy
Oh.
that exists among women, in my experience, in the workplace, is often, I don't want to blame it on men, right? But it is.
We got to walk it off.
It's kind of capitalized on by them, right? And so it's so important for women to band together. But at the same time, part of the reason why I believe, in my experience, that envy and jealousy can exist, professional jealousy, let's just say, is precisely because there have been limited spaces for us, right?
Let me tell you what Gloria Steinem, who is amazing, said when I said to her a long time ago when we were talking about this. I said, I really wish that some of the women would get along better and were nicer to other women and everything like that. And she said, well, stop. For so many years, there was just such limited room at the table. Mm-hmm. And we would go, I mean, I know because I'm always trying to fundraise for Women's Campaign International. Mm-hmm. We would go into a meeting knowing that there was just such a tiny amount of funds there. And we'd be adversaries, not advocates together. And she was absolutely right. I think it's changed and it is changing, but there's still a little bit there. That is, there's not enough room in some, in companies and some of the
C-suite.
Yeah.
C-suite is still men, and that is where, we're both of us have similar initiatives, right. Women Building Peace, Women Campaign International, and there's often this talk about, we care about women and right. elevating women, but then when it comes time to put your money where your mouth is, show me the money.
Right, exactly. When the check clears. Yeah, it's absolutely right. But I think things are changing. But that was because I was born on a sunny day.
I love your optimism. But if we don't have optimism and hope, then what else do we have? And I do feel like
you see it here, by the way.
Yes, and this campaign very much reminds me of 2008. So now Helmet to Heels is essentially run by interns in college right now.
Yeah, which
Gen
is wonderful.
Gen Z women. And so I'm mentoring them and training them to become journalists, mainly because they feel like they want to be journalists. They want to have a voice, but they also don't feel like they're going to be able to make a living in journalism. And they're seeing job cuts left, right, and center. And so it's really interesting, though, because we're really learning from each other. And so yesterday I was speaking to one of my interns who lives here in Chicago. She came into the convention with me. Her eyes were just popping out. She was so excited. And I said, do you know what's so funny is that in 2008, I was you. So I was in college in 2008, and Obama was the Kamala. The same sense of the youth vote is really crucial to this campaign. That's where we are now. So are the students that you're working with, or are they really going to show up at the polls? Because that's the biggest concern.
My students, oh my God. Yeah, they will definitely. It's making sure that they talk to other people and really commit to showing up. And I think they will. These students are way too.
Where are your students from again?
All over, but the University of Pennsylvania.
Yes.
The University of Pennsylvania has, where I'm at the Annenberg School, and I went there. University of Pennsylvania has sponsored, since 2000, David Eisenhower, who is amazing. And by the way, one piece of trivia, you won't use this, I promise.
This is a very clever tactic. I'm here for it.
Ike, as in Eisenhower, had a favorite grandson. It was David. And Camp David used to be called Shangri-La, and he changed it to Camp David, so it's named after Camp David Eisenhower.
Wow.
You'll be the only person at the cocktail party who will know that.
Who knows this bit of trivia?
Yeah. But he teaches this class with me, and we've taken all the students to all of the conventions since 2000, and that's what we do. And it's usually This year it's 10 in one and 10, 11 in the other, but and then there's then we come back and there's a course.
What mistakes do you think that Kamala can learn from 2016?
That's a good question. I don't know. I really don't know. I think what she can learn from Hillary, honestly, is to do, and I think Hillary did a good job of it. It was just a different time and with a very odd opponent. But what I think Kamala can learn is look forward, be very upbeat, be very positive. Look at that kind of take the high road. I think you have to be a little punchier, a little more in the middle there, because Trump does not take the high road and doesn't respect it. I just think she'll learn a lot from what has happened. So much has happened, but I think she's got to ingest what women are saying, and that is upbeat, kind. Take the issues that are so strong. Women really, at a percentage that is astonishing, want to have the right to control their own bodies.
Yeah.
Go after that.
And that's not necessarily about abortion. That doesn't mean they're pro-abortion.
Exactly. Vance is, listen to what Vance is saying. It's just odd. I mean, it's weird, that we should be just procreating, have another one.
Well, this is what I find fascinating, is the childless cat lady phenomenon.
Aren't we sweet? I know.
You have lots of children.
I know it. I know. Really, truly, yeah.
But I know so many women who would love to have children and love to get married and love to do all of the things, but they have such difficulty finding good men.
Oh, yeah, but I didn't worry about that.
Well,
I did. Well, I adopted 2 before I got married.
oh, I didn't know that.
I adopted 2 before I got married.
On your own?
Yeah.
Wow.
One was from Korea. The other one was, I was working in Vietnam. Okay.
Yeah.
One was half Vietnamese, half American. She was 6. First one I adopted was 7. And then I married somebody with kids. And then we homemade some children. And then, this is the best story. This is really the best story.
We love a good story.
Oh, yeah, no, this is good.
Story time.
This is good. We were asked to take in a refugee family from Vietnam.
Mm-hmm.
That was what was happening. The littlest boy was 4. And it was just a mother and a little boy. And by the time everything got over the next year or so, there were 5. And they lived with us for 25 years. Anyway, the littlest boy, who was 4 years old, is now an anesthesiologist.
Wow.
He has 3 kids. And they're all 3 of them performed at Carnegie Hall 6 months ago.
Wow.
It's the best immigration story ever. Their oldest child, Sebastian, is president of the school, and he's going to be a ball boy at the Open. The kids are so interesting. Anyway, I just heard from Vu is his name. I just heard from him this morning. He's the best. It's so much fun. Yeah, so that's the 11 kids.
But it's also really interesting that how it seems every attack on, women are often attacked on things like this, or attacked on stuff around, frankly, sexuality.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And these attacks aren't working. The attacks on Kamala saying she's childless were, well, actually she isn't. She's a mother to multiple children. And I also think that Michelle Obama said, when they go low, we go high in 2016, and that quote really made waves and people really resonated with it. But I think when you say that they should be punchier, perhaps what I seem to be saying that the campaign is going with now is maybe they're not necessarily being punchier, but they're not rising to it. So, for example, this attempt at smearing Doug, the first gentleman, potentially first gentleman, the second gentleman, about some personal infidelities in his previous marriage. They just came out and said, this is what happened.
Yeah,
and,
right. But walk it off.
Water under the bridge, everybody's cool.
That's exactly
nice
right.
try.
No, but
and that was it. It didn't hit.
I think what's happening I say this with great, I think they're being smarter. I think there's, and just kind of open, honest, such is life, así es la vida. And I think they're handling it well.
When you're seeing potential
We're going to have to wrap this
pitfalls-
up too. Yeah.
This will be the last 5 minutes. When you're seeing potential pitfalls,
Yeah.
do you see the situation in Gaza being one of them? Because I was at the protest yesterday, but however, I will say that it was the first time in over 30 years that Palestine had a platform at the Democratic National Convention. I went to the event about Palestinian human rights, and it seems like they are wanting to have a conversation. They're wanting to be a part of progress. But is that enough?
I think it's one of the more challenging situations, really, and almost an impossible thing to answer, because a lot of it has to do with the flow, the interest in the Jewish population because of the original attack. So how do you handle that? And also how much people on all sides are against Netanyahu, and you can't. It's so hard to replace a leader in the middle of a war. So I don't know how. I think they're handling it well, but I think it's an impossible situation to handle. I really do. I don't know what the outcome will be. I don't know how big these demonstrations will be, or how much impact they will have. But I think she is handling it well because she's trying to find that middle ground where you can work. The two-state solution is very much dead, but it's still one of the only answers. And I think she understands that well, as does Biden. I don't know the answer to that.
She didn't go to Netanyahu's speech in Congress.
Right.
What was that message supposed to send?
I don't know. I mean,
But she is in charge of Congress technically as the vice president, correct?
I don't know the answer to that. I don't know what went on behind closed doors. I think.
But as a political operator yourself, what do you analyze that as?
Don't know. I really don't.
You're a tough interview, Marjorie.
Oh yeah, I'm really tough. No, but I really don't know. I wish I had an answer for that. I think it's almost an impossible situation. I think, especially being here where the population of the Middle East population is so represented. I absolutely don't know. I think they're trying to handle it as well as they possibly can, but the diplomatic answer to this is tough.
And finally, for Women's Campaign International, tell us what you need now, because we could have audience members who may be
I'll tell you
able
real
to
quickly.
help.
I was head of our delegation for the Beijing conference, and when we got back, the White House said we got to get more women to the table. So I started Women's Campaign International.
What year was that?
1998. And so we've been in about 50
This
different...
was after Hillary Clinton said women's rights are human rights when she was First Lady.
Right. So we've been in about 50 different countries, and we do a lot of trainings. And we kind of listen, hopefully. We used to do a lot of political trainings. We do less of that. We do entrepreneurial trainings, healthcare, everything like that. And we've been... The State Department will call us and say, although we almost died because of COVID, because we couldn't do the travel, but State Department will call and say, Middle East, the MENA region is interested in doing women empowerment, and we will go in and work with 16 different countries, and listen to each different country as to what they were wanting. Some was education, some was healthcare, some was entrepreneurial. We went in, for instance, to Malawi, doubled the number of women in parliament.
Wow.
And one of our women, Callista Chamumbu Wamutadika, went from being in parliament to being, she was invited to be on the president's cabinet, and then she married him.
It happens.
Yeah. So we had a first lady.
Amazing.
And then we set up, through Rockefeller actually, we set up a First Ladies Initiative in Africa. That's what we do. We kind of listen, we get in there, we'll go to a small village and we'll see this woman wonderful picture walking down a dirt road with her little girl, and you say, oh my gosh, isn't that lovely? Little girl is not being educated. The mother is spending hundreds of hours getting clean water.
Yes.
So we'll go in and drill a well. I mean, we just do a lot of listening. So that's what we're doing.
I think we don't realize, I think rather the larger population doesn't realize how much of an impact this kind of work makes on
Absolutely.
individual girls. You know, when I did my Women Building Peace series, my Afghanistan episode was actually with Hillary Clinton. She spoke directly to a young Afghan woman hiding from the Taliban in a safe house.
I know you told me, yeah.
And she told me that that conversation was what kept her going and what gave her the strength to be able to get out. And she got out. She ended up in Doha. And now she's here in the U.S. continuing her studies. She's had
Wow.
an internship in New York. She's been holding UN officials' feet to the fire. And actually, when I saw Madam Secretary the last time in person, I told her about this. She said, let's do a reunion in person.
Well,
and she said that this is what gave her the courage to continue, because she said, you showed me that my voice matters, because somebody like Hillary Clinton cared to hear from me directly.
Isn't that lovely?
So
we still have women in Afghanistan because we did all these trainings in Afghanistan. We still have women there, and they're in hiding. And what they do, which is extraordinary, we send money every month. We've set up a kitchen, a soup kitchen, because they're starving and they're afraid. These are doctors, lawyers, professors. And I actually should show you, I can, but they didn't want to do it for nothing. So we have a kitchen. It's a food bank. They come in, they pick up their food in burqa, and they didn't want to do it for nothing. And so they're making things for us, vests and jewelry, and they're knitting hats and everything, because they didn't want to take without giving. Anyway, it's amazing.
we would love to, we should collaborate on that, because our Helmet to Heels community would love to.
Oh, it's so
support.
wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, you've
Thank
been
you so
lovely,
much, Marjorie.
charming.
Thank you.